He had his gun, so he just swung it open.
I start to notice that, the atmosphere feels a little bit weird.
First thing he seen was this 6.5 foot tall, broad shoulder, dark hair. That freaked him out.
We hadn't talked to her about like life and death and what any of that means. She's 3 years old,
So we turned around. Suddenly there's a whole tree falling across the road.
And she was describing to us that, there was a deceased person that she could see visually.
You're listening to Cryptid Clues, where we tackle the ever-expanding history and mystery of monsters and supernatural madness every Monday. You can find us at CryptidClues.ca for more information, or even check out exclusive content and support us at patreon.com/CryptidClues. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cryptid Clues. I'm your host, Reuben, joined by your other also host, Taylor. And today we're going to be talking about UFO sightings and such during the solar eclipse that just happened the other week for us. Taylor, why don't you take it from here and say all the things that you want to say, and I will interrupt you whenever I have a thought.
Yes, well, we had a solar eclipse happen, as you mentioned, which is great. And I've got a little bit of notes here to kind of touch upon eclipses, solar eclipses in general. And so basically, this is being labeled as the Great North American Eclipse. It took place April 8th, 2024. It's visible across parts of North America, from Mexico to Canada and across the United States.
Yeah, this is when the moon gets a haircut, right? Do you know how he cuts his hair?
No.
He clips it.
Did you just make that up on the spot?
No, I definitely did not make that up.
That's fantastic. So that's really good. I like that. The coverage of the solar eclipse, very extensive. Its longest duration of totality was 4 minutes and 28 seconds long. And from where we are located in Canada, however, the eclipse in particular was the first total eclipse that we've experienced visibly since August 1st, 2008. But ultimately, in British Columbia, we were not in an ideal position to view said eclipse.
Yeah, it was so cloudy.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was so cloudy.
It was garbage. It was so cloudy. Everyone's talking about the eclipse. And I'm like, that's sweet. There's a lot of clouds in the sky.
And that being said, we wouldn't have gotten the full thing. It would have been a partial eclipse, but I'd take a partial over nothing.
I would have taken. I would love to see the totality. I want to see that Mortal Kombat sense to it.
Mm-hmm.
Totality.
So we were not as blessed as those other lucky individuals were who witnessed the solar event. But those of you that are curious about it, on the mysterious note, well, Reuben, that's where I'll defer to you in a quick second here. But a little bit of context for people wondering what a solar eclipse is all about. And basically, a solar eclipse occurs when the moon's diameter is larger than the sun's, blocking all direct sunlight. You might be thinking, how's that possible? Well, just the moon is superbly smaller than the sun, obviously, but it's just their distances that are taking a key role here.
They just line up in the night sky, basically, right?
Yeah. Now, there is such thing as lunar eclipses, and they're far more common than a solar eclipse. And basically, in short, they occur when the Earth moves in between the sun and the moon, leaving the moon in Earth's shadow, causing it to darken exponentially. I told myself you're going to have a pun. When I was typing that in my notes, I was like, in Earth's shadow. I was like, oh, Ruben's going to come up with something for this.
I don't want to throw any dark humor in here for shadow stuff, but, when it comes to viewing the solar eclipse, you have to wear like some special sunglasses or whatever. What kind of sunglasses do you need? I've never bothered to really note down what they're called. Do you know?
I have no idea. Aside from that, people have pulled a con on this, selling fake sunglasses.
Like polarized ones as well, right? But they have to be like super special polarized ones.
I
don't know. I feel like everyone's kind of divided on this. It's very polarizing.
Did you set yourself up for that? Is that why you were talking about that?
I set myself up.
Okay. So do you actually not know why the glasses are important, or is that all part of your scheme?
Oh, I know why the glasses are important. It's so you don't go blind.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Unless you want to practice like sun staring and stuff to see if that helps. But I don't feel like I would want to take the risk of potentially damaging my eyes if they're wrong.
That's fair. Well, I Googled it just because I was curious. So the some solar filters are designed to make one specific wavelength of light visible, and eclipse glasses fall into a category called neutral density filters. Basically, it means that they dim the light across all wavelengths.
Ooh, I want neutral density filters. Can you imagine how cool that would be to say you're putting those on your head? Yeah, I've got my neutral density filters on right now. Sorry, officer, I wear them at night.
I don't know if you should wear those types of glasses at night.
Driving
Oh my
around like
goodness.
Toph Bay Fong here.
So, in the wake of all this, and there's been some very interesting videos that have surfaced, but particularly leading into this too, I was finding it very fascinating, and I'd be lying if I said a part of me was not apprehensive going into this eclipse, because seeing people kind of run rampant, throwing conspiracies left, right, and center, and then you have certain small towns in the United States that are sharing these articles that, you know, residents should stay home and stock up on food and water in case of supply shortages due to the eclipse, and people were just blowing that up into something along the lines of, hey, maybe the powers to be know something and we should be maybe a little bit apprehensive of what's to come. Something could be coming out of this, and people in other areas of the world talking about earthquakes and storms that are the result of this eclipse, and everything's going to change when it happens. And so again, like I said, I'd be lying if I wasn't a little bit anxious going into it, but it was just another day. That's ultimately what it was. But then in the wake of this, that's where you sent me some footage of some things, and I thought, wow, this is really impressive.
You know what the only thing I noticed out of all this, and this is completely random, this is out of left field, this is unrelated somewhat to the episode, but after the solar eclipse, I got distracted reading a very, very long thread of new Mandela effects. And I was like, what? What do you mean new Mandela effects? And everyone's like, oh, yeah, the eclipse happened. We shifted again. And I was like, nah. And then I saw one that just got me tripping. And it was how you spell judgment. Think of Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Taylor. Spell the word
Oh
judgment. Go.
no. Okay. J U.
Don't type it in. Don't type it in. You just
Don't
start.
type it in.
Start,
Okay, I won't type
spell
it. I won't type it.
Don't
I won't
cheat.
type it. Judgment. JUDGEMENT.
And that's how it's always been for me. Guess what?
No.
Guess what?
No. You're bullshitting me.
I'm not bullshitting you. It's JUDGMENT. They took out the E. There's no E in judge for
Now,
judgment.
does that count as a I'm drawing a blank here. Does that count?
That's how
I
it's
feel
spelled
like
out
that's
here. The cover art for Terminator 2, I had to go look. It's judgment without an E. Now, there is an alternative spelling of judgment in other countries that uses the E. So you can actually find the way that I'm used to seeing it. But everyone's posting about it all of a sudden. Like, everyone just noticed. That's so strange. Everyone just noticed that the word judgment is now spelt without an E. And I Googled it.
weird.
And you Google the definition of judgment and you type it in JUDGMENT on Google, and it comes up as that's a spelling. It doesn't try to correct you. That's how Google spells it when you spell it that way.
That's really, really peculiar. But that's where I was thinking, like, well, as far as Mandela effects go, does it count because it's something grammatically speaking, I guess? But I was going to say maybe they changed the grammar on us without us really paying attention. But then that
How
doesn't
does it
make
go
sense
back in
because
time and affect?
that's exactly
Yeah.
the cover art for
Type it-
Terminator 2.
Type it in right. I heard you starting to type as you're spelling there. Type in judgment without the E, and just on Google.ca, and see it come up with the definition there. And then type in Terminator 2 judgment again without the E. Judgment Day, and then it just pops up, and it's killing me.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember it being without the E. Yeah, you're right.
It's killing me.
heck?
Anyways, there is a big list of Mandela effects, so we may have to pull that up for a future episode now if that's something that truly happened. I don't know. I think people are just they're cherry picking some niche ones, but that one really got me going.
Yeah, I'm quite taken aback by that. But you're right. That's something that would be very interesting to kind of retackle, because we did that episode of Mandela Effects and went through a whole bunch together, which was a lot of fun. So it'd be
No,
neat to see what
absolutely.
other ones are kicking around.
And so you were kind of talking about people coming out with conspiracy theories and stuff like that around the eclipse, which of course was bound to happen. I saw a lot of that myself too. And my first thought was people are freaking out. They're just, it's something special is going to happen. Doomsday calendar kind of scenarios. All that stuff's coming down the pipeline. We've had a few biblical signs here and there. So you've got the Christians running around saying, oh, it's the end of the world. It's going to be the rapture this day. And it's like that. It all completely goes against everything that we know and follow. Like, it's going to be a normal day. I was prepared in advance. But at the same time, if there was something that would shift, it would just be so funny if maybe there was something that happened and we shifted realities to stay safe and we would never know. Like, it's just,
Just
so
like another,
spontaneous.
like a multiversal break in the timeline, just going sideways, kind
Yeah.
of.
Like, what if everybody was right all the time, and every time the world just goes to crap, we just blip, hop along to a alternate timeline where nothing really went super terribly wrong.
So you're implying that something happened and we just
No.
blipped into an adjacent timeline.
But the idea is funny.
The idea, yeah.
It was something I just briefly thought of while I was reading all of the different things online leading up to the eclipse.
Mm-hmm. There was definitely no shortage of conspiracies and everyone just running around amok with different ideas and that sort of stuff. And I don't know. Does it detract a little bit? Kind of. It makes it harder to fine tune and hone in on certain things. Of course, all of them pretty much aren't real, but I guess it depends where you stand. If you are very religious and these certain signs are just displaying certain meanings that make sense and whatnot. Like I don't have much I can add to that though.
If there was anything that I believe leading up to the eclipse, it's that a good chunk of those conspiracies were probably just planted there to make certain groups of people look crazy. So when something really does occur, no one's going to believe them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Moving on, I don't have no
Sorry,
more.
I got us
No,
really
no, no, no,
off
no.
track there.
That was fantastic. I don't have any other notes focusing on the solar eclipse now. I'm going to defer to you, and I'm going to pull up some videos here as well that we're just going to discuss. And
Yeah.
I might put these links for some of these videos. Maybe the more prominent ones that we discuss, I'll put them in the description of this episode so you can click on them. But there's so many of them that, I mean, overall, you could just type it on Google, YouTube. On X is where you sent me these ones, Reuben.
Yeah.
So you can definitely find them. They're out there.
Just go to X, go to Twitter, whatever you want to call it now, and type in Eclipse and UFO, and there's just tons and tons of videos. Such a strange occurrence now that it's like a commonplace thing.
Yeah, it really, really is.
Yeah. So Taylor and I are going to get started on just watching a few clips here. So for you, those of you listening, picture a nice cloudy sky, a little bit of sun in the corner, and then suddenly a black dot that just whips by the screen. Was it a bird? Was it a plane? Was it a bug flying in front of the lens?
Looks like a bug. Looks like a bug to me.
Internet conspiracy tells us it's a UFO.
Really?
Now, really, this first one, my thought is it could be a bug, and it does look like something like that. It's fairly faint, so it does kind of give the impression that it's far away, way up high in the sky, which would make it massive.
Mm-hmm.
It twirls around. It looks a little strange, but it's just blurry. That is Sasquatch quality.
Yeah, it really is. It almost looks like, see if I can pause it at the right time. It looks like wings, almost kind of like, no, I missed it.
You know what it reminds me of? What we're watching looks like those little like fairy doll things that you pull the Beyblade cord on and they fly temporarily and into a fireplace.
Yeah.
It looks like someone whipped one of those up into the sky.
Right here, it honestly looks like it's got wings that pop out. Maybe very faintly. It just looks like something is kind of extending from its sides a little bit, but it's so quick, and my first instinct is to think that it is definitely a bug.
Yeah. Man, you should save like a video version of this to put on YouTube and stuff. Does StreamYard do video quality recordings after we've already started?
I'll have to check actually, because I think I just did the audio recording for this, but I'll have to take a look.
That's fine. That means people, if you're watching this episode and you can see us, it worked.
It did work.
But if you can't see us, it didn't work. All right. Second video shows a nice clear sky, couple of clouds at the top and bottom, and twinkly little lights like a Christmas tree in the middle of the big blue. This one's interesting because it kind of looks like, when you stand up too quickly
Yep,
and you get like blips and stars in your vision.
absolutely.
That's what this looks like, just on a smaller scale up in the sky.
This is peculiar because even down here, when you look at the lower part of the clouds, there's the sparklies in front of those clouds. Like a lot of them. I
Yeah,
don't
they are
know.
very spread out.
But yeah, they are. And the interesting thing here too is where you might think and attribute this to being something with the lens, maybe. But when you look right down at the bottom, you can clearly see that there's trees, and they're kind of going in behind the trees. So we know this isn't just some overlay. And if someone was to actually make that edit, that would be pretty difficult to do in a shitty quality recording and have them overlaying everything else, but being underlaying of those trees, right?
The top of the cloud there on the left, this middle bottom cloud with a little swoop, and there's a little bit of a blue patch in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sparkle that appears right above the caption on the video there.
Yes.
That one kind of gets me because it shows that the stars, the blips aren't moving with the camera shake. They're actually moving in the sky.
Ah, that's a good catch. You're right.
So this one, I don't know what it is. I'm inclined to believe this could be something maybe along the UFO phenomenon there.
Yeah, you make a good point. That's a very interesting video, actually. That's really, really good. Now, we got our other one here. This is a lot. It's like a guy parachuting down.
This poor guy.
So are
That's
these
a
4 different ones?
that one was another twisty one too, like that first video we watched. So there's 4 different clips now. They're a lot worse in quality. One looks like the top of a parachute paraglider guy, and it's just the line like a worm in the sky. Second one
Mhm.
has a twisty fairy Beyblade ripper going across the sun there.
Well, that one is interesting, and that I feel like is very similar to other ones that we're going to be viewing, where people are speculating it's a plane, planes flying up high, and it's just the shadow casting downwards onto the clouds, creating that. And people are saying, well, it's moving really, really fast, or I guess really, really slow. But when it's moving up at a higher altitude, moving really, really fast, it's all gonna distort, and people are gonna think it's the opposite of being a
Yeah.
plane, when in fact it is.
This one here, the orb, we've seen a lot of glowing metallic things in the sky that just kind of look like a bad migraine. This one I'm inclined to think is maybe a proper recording, but it's just a GIF of it. Like we don't have the video, we don't have anything else. This could have been ripped from not even the Eclipse. This feels like someone took random UFO footage and just threw it up on the post.
Kind of. And now, are we supposed to assume here that it's shooting straight up, and then he moves the camera back into frame, or is
Yeah,
he just
I don't
does the
know.
frame just shoot down? Yeah, we just can't tell, but it almost looks like it's rotating around. I mean, you
I
can
have an
see
easier
like it's.
time if I was watching Bigfoot footage.
That's a good shot, though, nonetheless. Okay, I think this is the Okay, so here's this repeated clip here that we saw of just
This
the
one's a bit
shadow
extended
cast.
though.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 of these actually. 2 separate people recorded this particular UFO sighting.
Yes. All right.
And
There's
this
the
was the
other
one where
version.
people were saying, "Oh, it looks like a helicopter shadow." But it goes so quick for a helicopter, and the shadow doesn't really distort. Like if it was a helicopter, it was way up high, it would pass by the sun, and its shadow would start at an angle as it passes whatever, I don't know, sunbeam, and its size and shape might change a little bit, but as it rips through the cloud there, it stays pretty consistent. It
It
feels like
really
it's
does.
close.
And they have the parachute guy right in there too again.
It looks like somebody just shot a dolphin out of a cannon.
It kind of does. Yeah. And I'm just glad that we can see it on multiple different perspectives here. That's very fascinating.
Unlike our
But
viewers, our
unlike the
listeners.
viewers. This link will be in the description, so you guys can
Yeah.
definitely tune into it. Jumping to our next one here. Oh, another shiny object.
Yeah, it's a super hazy video, sun in the center there, a nice bright circle, and right above it is just a little blinky white light that rips across the screen at high speed. It kind of starts almost going upwards, and then it takes a little bit of a turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right actually.
That one's too fast to be like a plane or anything like that. That is
The
some
way
kind of unknown aerial phenomenon.
the way the light is hitting this object, it honestly appears like it's flapping. But I know it's not.
Well, and a bird doesn't scream across the sky that quickly unless this is sped
No.
up.
No, especially if again, going that high and upwards like that, I mean it'd have to have a little bit of firepower behind it.
Now, earlier we saw that grid of clips there that I said, oh, it could have been pulled from any time. That orb that was rotating and shining in different areas
Mm-hmm.
kind of looked like that. If you were to throw that across the sky at high speed, like if you were to play that in
you're
fast
right.
forward, it would kind of look like that, wouldn't it?
It would look like that. And again, this is just another one of the more shinier objects that has appeared throughout this eclipse, right? Different in shape. The other ones that we saw in shape, like you said, dolphin, like blasted out of a cannon. The different elongated shapes that these certain things have, like Tic Tacs almost, and then we see these
Yeah.
other ones that are more like orbs, but they have that more shinier reflectiveness.
I like
to them.
my fairy Beyblade analogy.
Yeah, that was good too. Now, what do we got here? Oh, this is coming out of the water, right? Now, do
Same
you see
kind of
how
thing.
it arcs?
It does. It arcs really sharply halfway up. And it increases in speed so much. Like it starts out slow and then it just, it's off.
Yeah. Now, is that supposed to be an island or just like a freight ship, cargo ship right there
I don't
in the
know.
middle of the water?
Do they have drones that could launch up that quickly?
I've never seen a drone that can move that fast, but especially because drones are just maybe there's some high tech ones, but they're just they're propeller based, right? So
Oh, it'd have to be
air
military
displacement.
too. Like this would have to be some kind of project.
It would have to be. I mean, just using air displacement, I mean, you're not going to get that much altitude that fast. That's insane.
Now,
And so,
here's a question for you.
mhm.
There's a lot of clips here. Do you think we only got this because there were so many people holding up their phones to record footage of the eclipse, and that this amount of orbs and UFOs and sightings, it's not the eclipse that just caused these things to appear. This is happening on a regular basis. They are this frequent. We just don't look at the sky and we're not ready to record it.
I absolutely stand by that. I totally think that's got legitimacy to it. That people are so invested in their lives and we're in the cities. We're just so busy, 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 and that you have a historical moment in our society where everyone is looking up to the skies. Everyone has their cameras up, and people are like, "Whoa, what's going on?" If I remember correctly, I think it was during COVID when people in Alberta and the plains out there were starting to report seeing certain lights in the sky, and it was like, no, a lot of those are just stars. You're not actually seeing UFOs, but people were questioning and kind of panicking at certain things that they were seeing. So I think people unfortunately forget what is above our heads at times, and it's just because a lot of them are they're city folk just are busy working your jobs, and that's fair. It's justified. People are busy doing the 9 to 5 and whatnot, but I think that this is something that is going on constantly, and when you have billions of people pointing their cameras up at the sky, you're gonna get a dump of footage like this, and it's great.
Yeah. And also, those people that are actually getting footage, they don't just see a blip in the sky and then shake their heads and go, oh, what was that? They look at their recording and go, oh, I captured that in video. I can look at it closer. What was that? Did I see a UFO? It creates that moment in time where they stop. They think about it. And then they're more likely to talk about it and share it because now, well, they captured a clip. But think, this clip right here, Taylor, if you were out and about and you saw this, and you weren't recording or anything, it just happened and it's over this quickly, like 2 seconds, not even 2 seconds. Where would your mind go in the next 10 seconds after that?
Being who I am, and I see this where it shoots up out of the water, and then it just arcs and blasts off. My mind would go to a UAP UFO, and I know this because this has happened before. I've said that story before when I was out standing in line at a video game store with dozens of other people at midnight, and a few dozen of us looked up and we saw this thing, a few lights just appear, move down to the side, up, and then disappeared. And I have no explanation for it up in the night sky. Yeah, you spend the first few seconds, you're just looking for reaffirmation. You're trying to find, okay, did someone else see that? Like, what did I just see? Am I hallucinating? But then when you get that reaffirmation that you witnessed something unexplainable, then you can reaffirm yourself. Okay, this was a UFO UAP. So
Yeah. And now, in the mind of maybe just some random individual who's not knowledgeable on UFOs, or they don't really care or believe in the subject, especially if they don't believe in it, something like this happens, and I have a feeling their mind just goes right to, "Huh, that's weird. It was probably like a drone or someone shot something up into the sky," and then they move on. They carry on with their lives. It's not an occurrence to make them stop any longer.
And it's quite sad because I feel like that can be applied to a plethora of other things with cryptids and other miscellaneous sightings where people might dismiss things. People might think, oh, just a bear, and they dismiss it, and they have no second thoughts or bat an eye at that ever again, and they move on with their lives.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but moving on here, what do we got? We got some. Ooh, this is like a
These are
freeze
some
frame.
solid ones, and it's a frozen frame. So this is a picture that's being zoomed in on. You got 3 objects in the sky. They look like little, not really spheres, but like almost like egg-shaped objects in the sky.
Would you
Quite
say
interesting.
like pyramids, cylindrical pyramids? Because it looks like
It's
they're
the
kind of-
Goa'uld.
I hope not.
Jafar
Yeah,
Cree.
very interesting. And yeah, there's 3 of them, which makes this even more interesting. But would you say that
They're
they're
triangle
similar?
formation too. So if it was a dark night, and each one of those things turned on a light, do you think people would think, "Oh, it's a triangular UFO"?
Absolutely. You would, if they're moving in a very precise formation, people are going to think it's just one giant object.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what a lot of the triangular UFO sightings are.
Well, we've seen a few sightings that people have filmed where it looks like it's just kind of one thing and then smaller things moving around. But yeah, it's just, again, the shininess, this just makes me think back to the other few shiny objects we've seen so far.
I'll have to dig through, but I have some photos that my mom took of an eclipse years and years ago, and there's some stuff in the sky in that too.
Really?
And it's mostly like around the sun. We stopped, and there's little white triangular shaped lights in the sky, and they're just
Really?
literally just pixels on the screen. If you had a white pixel and it had some haze around it, you put it in a triangle formation. But she snapped some photos with it was a Sony camera of some kind. She put the photos on the computer, looked at it, and then was like, "Oh, Reuben, this might interest you. Look at these." And that was it. That was all we ever really talked about it.
That's fascinating. Maybe, I mean, overall, like we already discussed it, maybe there is something significant about an eclipse. I mean, as far as it being a major celestial event, it could be some important meaning to powers and entities that are beyond our comprehension.
Well, I mean, I firmly believe that these things are around us all the time. Probably, and I would like to justify this for myself, like an Occam's razor thing, being a Christian, probably angels and demons. That's what aliens most likely are. That's what I believe. I could be wrong. I'm open-minded. There could be other alien races and stuff that are created or whatever. But do you think, because of solar eclipses and dimensions and stuff like that, that maybe there's just some kind of energy to an eclipse or something that just makes these things visible to us? Normally, we just can't see them.
So when we have a moment here that this eclipse takes place, it's almost like a different...
It's like our different dimensions kind of overlap a bit more, so that even if they don't want to be seen, they're now being seen more frequently.
Right, it's just dropping the veil a little bit.
Yeah, that's, you know what? That's the term I was looking for.
Spectral analysis.
Yeah. I had to go through all the other conspiracy theory sounding stuff first. I wanted to sound like a nut job before I moved to your theory of dropping the veil.
I think that there's some credibility to that as an interesting hypothetical theory. Of course, there's no factual facts to back up any of this, but I think that's an interesting thought to think about.
Mhm.
This is the initial one, I think. Did you send me this one initially the day
Yeah,
after?
this is the same dolphin being shot out of a cannon, but filmed from somebody else's angle.
Right. And this one, it just reminded me of any Pokemon aficionados out there, Latias and Latios. This just reminds me of that Pokemon
You know
flying through the
what?
sky.
I might be wrong. Is this not the same video, but just flipped horizontally?
I would. Oh, you know what? I would say so, but Acura, the vehicle logo, is correct and not flipped.
Can you go back to the original, the first clip of that, and just see if there's a building in the corner on the opposite side?
Let's.
Ah, there it is.
But I can't tell if the logo is flipped. Let's.
It is
see
going the
here.
other way.
Okay, let's see. So we got. We're
There
gonna
was
use
another
the
one.
clouds.
I'm pretty sure there. So you're on the grid one right now. We're on the post that had the 4 UFO clips. There was another one that we just watched that also had it. I swear.
So you're right. This one video is flipped because if you see again, I apologize, listeners. Just bear with us here as I show Reuben here. Do you see this little cloud hanging around right here?
Yeah.
Here it is here.
Yeah. So it's just a flip video. That's
It's just
funny.
just a flipped. Yeah. So I wonder why people do that.
More views, more clicks, right?
I guess you're right. I don't think I watched this one yet.
This is a nice one of the
Yeah.
eclipse. You can see the shadow in front of the sun there.
My goodness. But I'm not seeing any activity though.
It is a longer clip, and it's going to come a little bit later. I think you get an orb, if I remember correctly.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, what is this? Yeah.
Well, they made that obvious in the video.
It's
little
weird
white
how
dot
it
in the
gets
sky.
dimmer. It's like as soon as he noticed it, and now it's starting to just dim up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I doubt the camera was ever really focusing on it. It seems like the camera was focusing on the eclipse, and then he just zoomed in on the footage and panned to that himself. But again, it's another shiny object, so that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do we got here?
Same kind of thing. This one is moving around in such a pattern that it looks like lens flare to me.
I'm absolutely on board with the lens flare fact. I don't think that's anything. It's like over top of the clouds and all that. It's over top. Yeah, it's just. I feel like it's just lens flare.
And we know when there is totality from an eclipse, if you're in the right spot where you're being hit by that shadow over Earth, you get wonky shadows around you. You get circular glowing shimmers between leaves of trees and stuff like that. So we're almost at the end of the clips that we have here, and there's this one that looks like just a black UFO that was pasted over a video and is dragged across, keyframed. That could be, anyways. There's no telling for certain.
Yeah, this is the one that I feel like, aside from that lens flare, this one gets away from me. Literally, it flies away because I'm not believing that it is. The saucer looks right out of like an old. It looks so superimposed over that. I'm so sorry.
It's the angle.
Yeah.
It's like it's flying right side up to our view, but Buddy's recording it by craning his neck backwards and shooting straight up. So he should be shooting the underside of it.
Yeah.
Instead, he's shooting the side of it.
And it also, to me, it feels like it's moving differently outside of the movement in the background. Well, behind it, you have the clouds moving and you see the eclipse. And also, the way the camera does that focus readjustment, that object should properly readjust as well. And it zooms in, you see it do that, but anyone could make it blur for 2 seconds and then refocus in.
Or the video wasn't blurred at all originally, and then he added a blur effect after superimposing the UFO.
That's very, very true. Very true.
And again, I could be wrong, but that one I'm not into. This one's fun. So it's last clip here is of CNN. They're reporting the eclipse. They're there recording footage, and you're going to see a little blip move along the left side of the screen here shortly. This is just another dot, honestly.
The fact that it's from... Sorry, there's something else that moves in here, is what you're saying, or it's just the dot that they're focused on?
There should be another one, if I recall correctly. It's going to be
Okay.
towards the end, right on the left there. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, how about that, eh? My goodness.
And it goes fairly straight, just flies by. But because this is being filmed at a reporter level and this is being filmed live, that's a pretty legit recording to me, I want to say.
Yep. Anything on that sense definitely adds a little bit more credibility. To me, it's kind of like that National Geographic footage we got a long time ago of them filming a bunch of, I can't remember if it was bison moving around out in the plains. And then they retroactively realized that, oh my gosh, there's actually something in the background moving from hill to hill, kind of chasing them. Do you remember that? I think we've discussed it.
Yeah.
And that's from a highly regarded source that filmed it. And so again, here, however you want to regard the media these days, but in this sense, I don't think there's anything phony about this. This is definitely something that's coming from it's a popular media source. And
Yeah.
why would they
It's an
throw something like that
accidental
in there?
recording of a dot in the sky
Yeah,
shooting across. That's super interesting.
yeah.
So that's it for all of the UFO videos that I've kind of saved and kept over the past couple of weeks here since the eclipse.
Well, I did not realize there was that many of them. I thought that there was just a couple, but I'm glad that you're able to source all of these. And so, if you were wanting to follow along, I'm going to put a couple of the more really interesting ones that are like, oh my goodness, and put those links in the description so you can see them. But like Ruben had mentioned before, you just go on to X, formerly Twitter, and just type in those keywords, Eclipse, UFO, UAP, and you'll see some interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else you wanted to throw in there, Ruben?
For videos? No, not at all.
No, no,
That
no,
is
not
that is
videos.
it.
Just,
That's
just on
kind of
the
it.
topic.
On the topic of UFOs and sightings and stuff like that, yeah, we just had the eclipse. Taylor, did I send you anything about the missiles that Iran supposedly launched to Israel?
You did not, but I heard about this. I don't know where I heard about this, but I definitely heard about this.
And you heard about the UFO side of it too, right?
I did, but please explain it to the listeners.
So again, this is coming from X. This is coming from some recordings and stuff that were just up on Twitter. And somebody's looking at them in the sky and they see like these missiles being launched and everything. And Israel has a defense system where they can laser point and shoot down missiles in the sky. But the missiles that made it past their defense system, there's like a little triangular UFOs in the sky that just kind of float down and just blip, 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 blip. And all the missiles start blowing up in a different way than how I think their defense system should work. I don't know. I'm not there. Could be fake. I don't know anything. But the fact that these videos just came up right after I was looking at all the Eclipse UFO videos got me thinking. I'm like, oh, that's super interesting. Is this another tragedy or world event that's being prevented by these things up in the sky?
I worry about the tools that are being used and exploited here by certain governments to cause this degree of harm, especially in the whole conflict that's going on now, and people being killed and the missiles that are being launched. It's not the first time though that we've heard and looked at certain weapon sites being of great interest to UFOs and certain military bases having higher UFO sightings, right? It seems like there's definitely, whatever these things may ultimately be, a striking interest in the dangers that humanity can cause to the planet. I don't know if them deactivating, if let's say hypothetically they exist and they are deactivating these missiles, are they doing it to save human lives? Are they doing it to protect the earth, the planet? I feel like every explosion that humans cause on this planet has a ripple effect through the cosmos. I genuinely do believe that, because it's a huge, delicate structure of vibrations, and when you add some big unnatural vibrations in there, it can cause some serious damage. So it just makes me wonder what their objective is, but that's something I'm never going to probably get to know in my lifetime.
Fair enough. I mean, maybe there's just some time travelers coming back to prevent a world-ending event as well, and they've got those special UFOs and ships now.
Well, it's true. Where they're helping us blip over to the judgment timeline, right?
Yeah, we're in the judgment timeline now. Oh no. Skynet's about to happen, or oh.
I mean, with how ChatGPT is these days and AI, my goodness. But I don't have anything else to add aside from just thank you, Ruben, for collectively archiving all of these videos. This has been fantastic.
You're welcome. It was super fun to chat about them. It was great to go completely rampant off script here. There's no notes on my end as usual. I love doing it this way, especially if I have some kind of basis to bullcrap about, which is awesome.
Well, if you're interested in more UFO extraterrestrial content, last week I did an episode on a Australian dossier that was dropped, basically kind of diving into extraterrestrial UFOs and UAPs from a government standpoint, the Department of Defense. You can tune into that. But until next time, you can find us. CryptidClues.ca is our website. You can reach out to us directly, cryptidclues@gmail.com. Our social media channels, X, formerly Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Patreon. We are all over the place. Until next time, everyone, take care and stay safe.
Bye-bye.